Hi, everybody. It is episode 544 of PodQuest.
Hey,
It is Wednesday, January 15th, 2025. I am Chris. With me is Walnut.
I'm here.
Drew's not feeling well, so he's
No,
resting, healing, getting better, all of those things.
nah, he just didn't want to hang out with us, so he said he wasn't feeling good. He's probably out partying.
Oh, yeah, I mean, he's probably at a concert. Let's be
Yeah,
real.
for sure. Yeah, he's gonna come. He's gonna message us tomorrow or something with a voice note, and he's not gonna have a voice. You're like, I thought you were sick, and he's gonna like, oh yeah, it was a throat thing. No, it's just you were yelling at a concert or the Wings game or something.
Yeah, it was just he forgot to ask if we could record on a different day, so he's like, I'll just tell him I don't feel well. It'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. No, probably what it was is he was partying too much with the Eagles win on Sunday, and so he's probably still hungover after 4 days.
Oh, did the Eagles win?
Yeah, the Eagles are still in the playoffs.
Oh, good for them. Wonder if they'll lose, I wonder if they make it to the Super Bowl and lose again.
A lot of people have them for a Super Bowl run, if I'm seeing things correctly.
Well, I know, the little bit I saw, earlier in the season, they lost a few, but then, they kind of, got their footing and have been pretty solid since, right?
Yeah.
So you never know.
See what happens. Yep.
It's Philly, though. We really only get, one championship a decade, so they really can't win until 2028 at the earliest.
Yeah, I mean, unless you count each decade as every 10-year period, whereas we got our 2010s decade win, and now we're getting our 2020s decade win.
Well, no, because we had our 2008 Phillies.
Yeah, our 08 Phillies. I know you're saying every 10 years we get a win, and that's what a lot of people have said. But I'm saying, what if it's just every decade period? So we got our 08, so from 2000 to 2010, and then we got our 2010s from 2011 to 2020, and now we have our 2020s that we'll get this year, but then we won't get another win until sometime in 2030s.
Now I have a feeling that they'll lose along the way.
I mean, it could be. You never know with sports. I was the most winningest team in my fantasy football league at 12-2, and I did not win fantasy football this year.
Well, you should have played better.
It's nothing about my playing. I just got very lucky with most of my games this season and kept playing the team that scored the least for the most part.
Right, because it gets you points or something like that, right?
Well, you don't get points for playing the team that scores the least. What I mean is the person who had the lowest score in our league was the person I tended to have played each week.
Oh, see, I thought you got points for something negative.
I mean, you get.
I don't really understand how fantasy football works at all.
Basically, fantasy football. I know people compare it to it's Jock D&D. It's not.
No, it's not at all.
It's a simulator. Is what it is. And so you simulate making a team by drafting players across all of the NFL. And then you get points based on how they do in their games each week. So, for instance, PPR I'm in a PPR league, which is point per reception. So every time you get a receiver, wideout, or running back that catches the ball, you get X amount of points. Usually, for us, it's a half-point PPR, so we get 0.5 points every time they make a catch. Then you get X amount of points. Usually, it's 0.1 points per yard. And then you get, for us, I think it's 7 or 8 points per touchdown that they get. Or no, it's 5 points per touchdown. Then, if you're quarterback, you get points per, the points per passing yard. So however many yards the ball was in the air and somebody else caught it, you get points for that. You get points for if they throw a touchdown pass, but then you lose points if they fumble the ball for anybody, lose points if there's an interception. And so it's just straight up, it's a simulator. It's football. It's a football management simulator. Can you manage your team properly? It's still not even that much of a simulator because it's still based on how the players play. And right. You can't make the decision, game day, you can make a decision to play somebody else, but you can't make a decision to switch someone out midway through their game. Once their game starts, you play them.
Even if somebody gets injured mid-game, you don't have a backup.
Nope, you can't switch out. Once the game starts, that's the player you're playing.
Huh.
It does not matter. Once the game starts, even if they get injured 2 minutes into the game, as soon as the game starts, even if they don't play that game, Like if you forget to set your lineup and the game starts and that player is already out for that game, if they were in your starting lineup and their team's game starts, that is your player, unless the league can agree to let you switch them out during the game, which I mean, most leagues would be like, yeah, sure, whatever. Our league would probably be like, yeah, sure, whatever, if they didn't weren't paying attention or whatnot. But some leagues are super serious and be like, no, you should have been paying attention. This is on you.
Like I can actually understand like that one for like bigger leagues with like bigger money on it.
With $1 million buyouts and shit like that, yeah, like that's real money on the line. But at the same time, like if you had, you're gonna be hard pressed to find $1 million buyout league unless you're in a $1 million buy-in league, because you're averaging 12 players per league. There's not enough NFL players to have more than about 12 teams per fantasy league, just because there's only so many players that are viable use. And once you get past like the first 30 players, it's kind of a wash. And no one really, like, the rest of them are all second or third string that probably would only get you like 1 or 2 points per game, if that.
Yeah, because I guess like people aren't generally like picking anyone on the Bears.
Well, no, people will pick people on the Bears. They'll pick players on the Browns. They'll pick players on bad teams, because just because they're a bad team or they're not a winning team doesn't mean those players aren't producing. But yes, they're less likely to pick, say, for instance, say Saquon Barkley, who's playing for the Eagles right now, was a Giants player for a long time. Say he was on the Browns, they probably wouldn't have drafted him as early because it's the Browns, and the Browns aren't really that great. But you'd still draft Saquon Barkley at some point, because he is a good player, and if the ball is passed to him, he's going to catch it most likely. Like, and that's just, and sometimes you have to worry about when the bye leagues are, and sometimes you just have to make those gambles. Like, but like for me, when it comes to draft, usually it's how many rounds is the draft? Because it's quarter. Let's count it: one quarterback, two wide receivers, 2 running backs, generally a tight end and a flex. So it's 7 positions usually for starting. Sometimes you have leagues where you also pick a defense. Sometimes you have leagues where you also pick a kicker. Me personally, I like that. I like having a kicker and a defense on the league, because those are like a little bit of a wild card. Kind of like they could just produce a normal, like, for instance, defense starts every game at 10 points and then gains and loses points depending on the outcome, how many yards they allowed get passed. Because they start the game at 10 points because they basically nothing has happened in the game. They have 10 points for not allowing any yards. And then as the game goes on, they lose points based on how many yards the team has gotten. But also it's like, oh, how many interceptions they got. Did they return an interception for a touchdown? Did they cause a fumble? Things like that. And then the kicker is the kicker. Usually it's like 1 point for every extra point and this and that. I like that a little bit better, because it does help fill in the roster for, like, I had so many players on my bench this year, since we don't have a defense or a kicker spot. I had so many players on my bench this year that I didn't use. And I just drafted them to fill draft spots, because you have to fill your, at the end of the game, like at the end of the day, once you're drafting, you have to fill like the 7 starters plus usually like 6 or 7 more players. So you're talking a 10 to 14 round draft that usually takes about 2 hours to get through. So it can be a little frustrating. And after about round 5 or 6, a lot of the players just have the same point production, and it doesn't make a difference. If you can't get Jason Kelce or Travis Kelce for a tight end, there's not really a point to get any other tight end earlier than like round 6, because they all produce the same.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
There's math to it, there's strategy to it, but it's just it's a simulator. It's a management sim.
Seems like a lot of work.
It's a pen and paper management sim, and it's not, especially with internet nowadays, with like all the apps that do it all for you. It used to be a lot of work, and if I had to, I would never manage a league if we had to do all that math in ourselves. I wouldn't do that. I would never be in a league if it wasn't ran by a computer, basically. The computer calculates the points and this and that and whatever. And I'm just like, I would much rather I would not do the rest of it. It's too much work. That is a full-time job, like an 8-hour day watching like waiting until the day or two after like the football day to get all the stats and calculate all the points. You'd have to wait until Tuesday, and then you'd have to be ready by Thursday to play your team, and to be like, call your commissioner and be like, hey, I'm switching out this person for that person. Or literally talking on the phone with somebody, hey, I want to trade with you. I cannot imagine how stupid that feels doing that. Whereas now we're just texting each other and like throwing fake trade ideas into the system itself, which, I mean, no one really trades in our league. Our league's not super active. We just play. And it's just a fun way to almost make money sometimes. And I got screwed over by all of my key players getting injured.
That does suck.
The week before our playoffs. So it was week 14, I think. Week 15, week 14. 14 or 15. I think it was week 15 because it's 17 games a season. And so we end 1 week early, I think. Right? Yeah. So it was week 15. All of my players got injured, including my quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Got concussion protocoled. Then the next week, none of them started. And I'm like, well, this sucks. And to me, it kind of sucks to have a league that goes that late, because since you are banking on playing these key players, if, for instance, you have a team that has already clinched the playoff berth and doesn't have to actually worry about their last 2 games, they're not going to play their key players because they don't want them to get injured. So then your team's going to fail for that if you're playing those players as well. So I'm like, I feel like fantasy should end by like week 12 or something like that. I don't think it should go much past week 12.
Yeah, you know what, that does make sense, because like once you're near the end of the season, like the best teams aren't going to play their best players because they're already locked. Like,
yeah, but then that's also hard because you run into the chance of like, oh, on week 12, the championship game, somebody's key players may be on bye that week. Well, that sucks. But I'd maybe turn, in my opinion, the championship game a best 2 out of 3. So this way, if you run into that instance of somebody being on bye, you can play another week, and if the other team wins, then you can settle it up the final week or something like that. Rather than it felt like, for me, especially since went 12-2. I was like, this was the longest season I've ever experienced in my life. I went 9 games before I got my first loss. No, 8 games before my first loss. Something like that. I don't remember. I wonder if I can pull it up real quick. Let's find the app. But yeah, I went so far without. Let's see if I can pull up my schedule. Where's my team? There it is. Schedule. So yeah, I went 8 weeks and then lost on week 9 and then lost on week 13. And then it's a 17-week league. We had bye week. I had the first round bye for playoffs, week 15. Week 16, I lost, and week 17 I lost, which would have put me 3rd place and at least gotten me podium if I won week 17.
How many weeks is it again?
17.
Okay.
So it's all season. It's all regular season.
Well, I don't know how many weeks in a football season.
It used to be 16.
I believe
they added there was Las Vegas got a team.
Oh, that's right.
Is what it was, and so they added 1 more week to football.
I mean, that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't follow it.
It's I don't know. Vegas didn't get a team. The Rams just moved to Vegas, but I don't know why I think that's what it was. I don't know why they decided to add 1 more.
Oh, because you're thinking of Vegas got a hockey team in the last
Vegas got
years.
No, because that was the Kings, wasn't it?
No, the Knights. The Kings are LA.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Vegas has a football team. I think.
Yeah, the Rams moved to Vegas.
Yeah, Rams moved to Vegas. I don't know if a new team actually did come in. I don't know what it was, but for some reason, the NFL decided to add an additional week to football, and to me, that makes football too long. Coming from a guy who would, if he could, watch every 162 games of baseball, I think 17 weeks of football before playoffs is too long.
Okay, so the NFL decided the 17th game would be an additional interconference game. pairing teams that finished in the same place in their respective divisions the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's literally just an extra game.
Okay, that's dumb.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it makes fantasy football feel a little too long with that one extra week. When I got to week 9 or 10, and I'm like, man, there's still 5 more weeks of the regular season. It's just 1 more week longer, but it's still. I was like, man, there's 5 more weeks of the regular season, or 4 more weeks of the regular season. This sucks. But that was also running 1-9 at that moment.
Oh, geez. 1 win, 9 losses, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. 9 wins, 1 loss.
Not okay. Sorry.
So 9-1. I was running 9-1 at the time.
For some, I heard 1-9. I don't know if you said it that way.
I said 1-9, but I meant 9-1. Anyway, we have a nerd show.
What's on the agenda?
Apparently, there's rumors of a Switch 2. This is the first I'm hearing about it. And then Cobb, you watched Goosebumps season 2. There was a season 1. Like the original Goosebumps show?
No, like the new one.
I didn't realize there was a new one.
It's the 2nd season. I talked about the first season like a year ago.
Do you think I remember what I did a week ago?
That's fair.
And then look, guys, I had a busy weekend this weekend, so I didn't have anything to be able to add to it. So there's not really much for us. So we might talk about what's up coming up in the next few months. And then Cobb read a book.
I did. Another one.
Yeah, another book.
You should get on that so you can meet your goal this year. I believe in you.
Yeah, well, I'll try. I'm gonna try. I'm not gonna like force it, but
do it.
I literally like what happened Sunday. Sunday was supposed to be my day to get a bunch of stuff done, and I ended up sleeping till 2:30.
Jesus, what time did you go to bed on Saturday?
Maybe like 1:30. Yeah. Well, like I slept. I went to bed. I don't remember what time I went to bed, but I woke up around 9, fed Chase, ate breakfast, and then fell asleep until 2:30. I was exhausted. I was out all day Saturday. Even like Friday into Saturday, I slept until 10 o'clock on Saturday, and I had to get to my cousins by 2, who they live about a half hour away. And I didn't get around to leaving my house to get the things I needed to get to go to my cousins until like after 11:30. And I ended up getting stuck at, so hear this. I went to AutoZone right down the street because I wanted to get a new wiper blade for my rear wiper because it's not really working well. We were supposed to get some bad snow that day, and I was also out of wiper fluid. I'm like, I need to get this and fill up the wiper fluid in case like salt cakes up and kicks onto my window. I won't be able to see out the window. So I run to AutoZone. I get the new wiper blade. I get the fluid, and the person there's like, we can actually help you connect your wiper blade, because I was telling him I was having a hard time connecting the old one. And I was like, well, if you can do it, sure. She's fiddling with it for a bit, and she's like, and it breaks. She's like, it broke. It was actually clipped in wrong, the original one, and it caused it to break. I think she just really, I'm not saying she doesn't know how to do her job, but I think she didn't really know how to replace this thing. Because the one that was in there from factory. It was the original wiper blade that I had since I bought the car. So the dealership replaced it. No one else. But so, I mean, I can replace the arm, and it's only like $30 to replace the arm. But it's still like...
But like, if she broke it, shouldn't AutoZone be replacing that for you?
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's a free thing for them to replace it, so it's non-liable. Like I like, it's free for them to do like basic repairs, like replacing your battery or like replacing wiper blades or something like that. But it's free, so like they're not liable for any damages because you're not paying them to do it. They're doing it as a courtesy, kind of. I guess I don't really know. I don't care. But I was at AutoZone. Ended up being there for an hour because like when I got there, I got everything I needed, and then one person was helping a customer. And the person who was helping me was on the phone with another customer. And I was just standing there for like 20 minutes, just waiting for them to be done. And so like I lost a lot of time on Saturday. Then I had to go do all the other stuff I had to do that like, I was like, oh, I can get home by 1 or by like 12:30 and do some stuff at the house and hang out with Chase until 1:30 before I have to go to my cousin's. I ended up being out the whole day. and not being able to come home at all. So I lost that time. But then I was at my cousin's. It was a family gathering, and I had a few drinks. So I got home from work that day, and I scripted the review for Ruins of Arnak. Which that's something we can, right? Did we talk about it? We didn't talk about
We
that
talked
already,
about it last week.
We did talk about it last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that was last week. So yeah, so I scripted the Lost Ruins of Arnak review. But I was just too tired to do the VO, so I was like, I'll do it tomorrow morning. And then I didn't end up doing it till 2:30. And cutting together the video at the same time. I didn't end up doing that till 2:30.
Jesus.
Yeah, I was exhausted. And then this weekend my friend's doing a board game day all day, and then Jersey Calling's playing on Saturday. So this is on Saturday. I'm going to hang out with a buddy, and we're going to learn how to play Warhammer, at least the kill teams, the thing that he's into, Friday night. And then Sunday, I kind of want to go to the car show, but I don't really know if I have anybody to go to the car show with, because my whole family's going on Saturday, so I don't know if I might go to the car show. I might not. It's really just
Jersey Calling on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'm already going to be in PA, so why not just go?
That's fair.
I don't need a ticket and I'm going to go to their show at Kung Fu Necktie. I'm assuming Saturday show is just a walk up and pay cover fee show.
Yeah, I think it's $10 or something like that.
Yeah. I want to pre-buy the tickets for Kung Fu Necktie and for Vineland. But yeah, I'll be there. I don't have
There's not a lot of people that are going to the Vineland one.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's in Vineland and it's a $50 ticket.
Is that a $50 ticket?
Yeah. And
I wasn't expecting it to be that much. I know Kung Fu Necktie is $25.
Yeah, the tickets are a little pricey. It's like a seated venue. So you have to buy your seats, and they're opening for a hair metal cover band.
Yeah. I'm going to talk to my cousin, because my cousin lives 20 minutes away from the venue. So I've been trying to get him to come see Jersey Calling. But sorry, Jersey Calling. I love you guys, but that doesn't sound like the best show.
In the one group chat that we have, Josh posted hey, great news, we're playing this show. Bad news, these tickets are way too expensive.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They get it, and they're opening, so they're probably not playing for that long.
Yeah,
I'm actually seeing. I actually wanted to double check that I had the ticket price right. Okay, so the cheapest tickets in the back are $30.
Okay,
the front tickets are $50, and then the middle section are $40.
$30 isn't too bad. I don't know. I already talked to my cousin. I didn't realize it was going to be that much. I thought it was just I didn't even think about it with the venue being a seated venue. That's not something I thought about either.
Yeah, it does look like there's no ticket fees.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 tickets is just $60.
Okay.
If you sit in the $30 section.
Yeah. I'll have to text my cousin, see if he's still interested, because it's going to be that much.
Yeah, that's fair. But how about this Switch 2?
How about it? Tell me about it.
You haven't heard any of this?
No. When did the rumors start going around?
There have been rumors for a while. This is more of a leak rumor sort of thing. The thing that makes it a little more worth mentioning is a bunch of independent outlets have all kind of confirmed it, and independently of each other. So there's at least 3 different places or people, because some of it's social media people, that have said the Switch 2 is being announced this week. So the leak is the hardware is going to be shown this week. We're going to probably get price and a release date of May or June.
Okay.
They will not apparently be showing any games though. So it'll be kind of like they did last time. Here's what the console looks like, and they'll probably show something playing on it. And then next month or at the end of this month, they'll do a software focused one. That would be their normal February direct that they do every year.
Mm-hmm.
But the leak did include that there is a new Mario Kart that is said to be potentially a launch title.
That sounds about right.
There hasn't been a new Mario Kart since the Wii U.
No. Yes and no.
A new Mario Kart.
That's why I said yes and no, because like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, like they released that, which is just Mario Kart 8, but it's just everything.
Yeah, it's
That
just
was
a port
in.
with all the DLC.
Yeah, it's a port with all the DLC. Um, which like, I mean that I would like to see a new Mario Kart, but at the same time, like I like the idea of it just being of there no longer being a Mario Kart specific and it just being all encompassing, like every just new tracks just come out for the game itself. Like they don't really need to. Mario Kart is like I'm not gonna say it's perfect, but like there's not really much else you can change to it. So
No,
in
yeah,
my opinion, I'm just like you don't need Mario Kart 9. Like
yeah,
kind of when like they did Smash Bros Ultimate, even though people would rather play Melee or Brawl or whichever one. When they did Smash Bros Ultimate, it was like here's all the characters we've ever had. This is the Ultimate Super Smash Bros. Like, all right, so what are you gonna do on Switch 2? Are you gonna do Smash Bros Ultimate 2? Or are you gonna up-res Smash Bros Ultimate? Like, what are you gonna do with Smash Bros Ultimate? Like, what are you gonna do with the next Smash Bros? Are you gonna do every character you've ever had again? Well, which like you
yeah.
can't really like. What are you gonna do? Because you can't really do that, in my opinion. You kind of just gotta make it transferable, kind of thing. Like, it will just make it run better on the Switch too. I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
so that's kind of like I don't care about Smash Bros, and that's not mentioned
Yeah,
here. So, but like as far as like Mario Kart, really the thing would be just like performance and fidelity. Like
yeah,
if the Switch 2 is a better piece of hardware, having like an updated version of Mario Kart with maybe like some new features, like new drivers, maybe lean more into the like the characters actually having a bigger impact on handling because like
it
it,
does.
it does, but I mean like have like an option where like it has like like particularly in like the is it 200 or 250 the highest one.
250.
Two, so 250 is
250.
the one that makes it like that's the one that makes it go backwards or something like that, like the
No,
track split
that's Mirror is the one where
mirror.
it goes.
It's been a while since
Where
I played Mario Kart.
but Mirror, you don't go backwards. It's literally flipped. So if it's a right turn, it's a left turn. It's a left turn, it's a right turn.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
like for like 250, like have like the weights be like
Or it might also be
r-
360.
realistic physics. You know what I mean? Like
I mean, the weight does like the heavier
it does.
characters, like it affects the handling and things like that. Like you can see the bar how it affects the handling, but at the same time, you're racing around in go karts, so like
Yeah,
it's limited to how much it's actually going to affect things.
exactly. Like it can only be so much, and you don't want it to be every type of race is just like a nightmare for that. But I think it would be cool if like they if the system was powerful enough to do it, that like they gave you like a realistic handling mode with like more realistic physics.
That's the thing, though. Like I said, it's go karts. These are realistic go kart handling. Like
Is it?
minus the power slides. Have you ever really driven a go kart, like a high speed go kart?
No, why the fuck would I?
We got it. The friend group got like did like the speed raceway a lot for a while.
Oh
Like
yeah,
they
I
are
never did that.
they like they handle very different from a car.
Do
Like
they?
go kart, yeah, it's because and specifically because of wheel placement and things like that, and the way the wheels work, and like they handle differently than a car. They do slide about a bit more and things like that.
Interesting. Yeah, like I hate driving, so I've never been interested in like going go-karting.
Hmm.
Like driving a car is a miserable experience. I don't want to do that in just a smaller car.
I love driving.
Oh, I know. I fucking hate it. I hate being in cars.
I
I would
like it.
if I could teleport, I would teleport fucking everywhere.
I mean, that's everybody. Even if you like driving a car, if you could teleport, you would teleport everywhere. It would just save so much time.
I mean, yeah, but this
I
isn't
would
even
tele-
that's not even a
I would
time thing. I just like it
I
could
would
take me an extra hour to get places for teleporting. I would still choose to teleport.
I would teleport from my bedroom to my living room if I could. Like that's everybody. If you could teleport, you would teleport. Like
Yeah. But no, I absolutely hate being in cars. And I have to do it so much. It's just the fucking worst.
mhm.
But yeah, so new Mario Kart. And then they're saying that Final Fantasy VII Remake and Assassin's Creed Mirage are probably going to launch on it as well.
Remake or rebirth?
Remake.
Jesus.
Which if that can run natively on the Switch 2, that is at least still a huge step up in power.
It's a huge step up in power, but it's equivalent to the PS4.
Yes.
Like I they don't need it. Like that's the thing. Like they don't need it. Like then the other thing is like they were trying to get these more powerful games onto the Switch with like the whole
The cloud play stuff.
the cloud play game streaming stuff. And I don't think anybody really did that. Like no one really did that with Control and
Yeah,
the other
well,
games that were available.
because like the people that want to play Control don't own only a Switch.
Yeah.
So like when given the option, they're not going to play a game like
Yeah.
that on the Switch with like what is I can only imagine a worse experience because you're streaming it.
Yeah. Like I understand it's capitalism and competitive or like Nintendo feels like they need to sort of compete and keep up, but they don't. They're a family system, they're a party system. They don't like they do need a stronger system. I'm not saying they don't, but they don't need to worry about competing and I don't think they need to, get Final Fantasy VII remake on their system. They
So,
don't you don't need that.
so here's my theory. Nintendo itself doesn't actually care. If they cared and were trying to compete, they would be trying to release hardware that is comparable to the PlayStation and Xbox.
Yeah.
I think this is more Nintendo needs third-party support. While they release a lot of games, they don't have enough AAA games of their own to release to kind of satiate a console like to satiate the console sales, to keep the console sales going long term. And like the Switch worked out because like they did early on they were able to pump out a lot of titles. It has slowed down in the last few years, but in the last few years they've also seen a little bit of an uptick in third party trying to like put games over there. The problem is these third parties do not want another experience like they had with the Wii, where they had to literally develop worse versions of their games to put onto the Wii.
Yeah.
Versions of those games that just didn't fucking sell because they were worse versions of those games.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a little bit of like Nintendo is kind of like doing what third parties want, which is releasing games like Final Fantasy Rebirth to see if it'll have any market, because that probably doesn't take that much effort to release and doesn't have any exclusivity stuff anymore the way Rebirth may still have.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. Like, I think like Nintendo has its own niche. Like, people are buying the Switch as a supplement to like another platform, whether it's a PC or a PlayStation or an Xbox or whatever, or they're buying it because, like you said, it's a family platform. Like, it's a thing people buy and then like their kids play, or like very. I don't often hear people even talk about playing the Switch docked all that often. Like, it's basically like if you're playing the Switch, you're playing in handheld.
I mean,
And,
I
like,
almost
watching TV.
I almost exclusively play the Switch docked.
Well, you are an exception because like how often do you play games when you're not streaming?
I mean, I play the Switch off stream more often than I play it on stream.
Really?
Yeah. I play the Switch more often with my friends than I do by myself.
Okay.
And like generally that's over the internet and I could be just holding the Switch while on a Discord call, but no, but even before then, before I had my capture card, I would have the Switch on my TV and I'd be sitting on the other side of the room in my couch. I like the fact that it's portable, and the thing is I don't go away. I don't leave the house. I don't go on vacations, and if I do bring the Switch with me so I have something to do on downtime. But like I'm not playing big games on Switch handheld. I'm playing like little fucking indie shits that I can put 5 minutes into and then walk away. Like I would not play. I can barely like watch the screen to play Mario Kart that much on handheld.
Okay, I mean that's fair.
Yeah.
I just know like from what I hear and see, like more people play handheld with it because they can like multitask. Like they can have a movie on while they're like running around in Tears of the Kingdom.
I've had this argument before. Then you're not watching the movie. Just play it on your TV.
Why are you getting angry?
Because that annoys me. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna watch a movie, but I'm gonna play Switch. Well, what are you doing? Are you playing Switch or are you watching the movie? Well, I'm doing both. All right, tell me about that movie. I can't tell you about the movie because I was playing Switch all day. Exactly. Like you could just be playing it on your TV.
I don't know. Like I'd rather have like the TV on, even if it's just background noise, than play like a Switch game on the TV.
But if you're playing the Switch, then that's the background noise. If you're playing a video game, there's your background noise.
Oh, so, see, I keep the fucking Switch muted too. I never
And
have the
then,
volume turned up on that thing. I
and
don't
then
care about
again,
what those games sound like.
I can't with that. Like, how do you not have audio in your video game? Like, I just, oh,
I mean, look, it is very different if it's like a game on like PlayStation. Like with that, yeah, because there is like there's acting, there's other stuff going on. On Switch games, like the dialogue is all text. It's just the background music, and I don't necessarily need that.
but
Um,
like the sound cues and audio effects. But like you're also playing. You don't play action games on the Switch. You play
no,
RPGs and shit on the Switch.
yeah,
But still,
exactly.
like even playing an RPG, even playing like fucking Final Fantasy VII Original, like on the Switch, like I like the music and everything else. Like I can't play a game when it's silent. Like I the only time I do that is occasionally on stream, depending on like if I'm doing Fall Guys. The music doesn't matter. I still have the sound effects, so I can hear the sound effects. But the music, I'll shut down and I'll listen to something else because the music is kind of just mundane. But the sound, I need the sound effects. And like
Yeah,
any
see, I
game,
don't.
and any game I play, I'm like it. If there's no audio cues, if there's no audio, I'm not immersed at all. I'm not into the game at all.
I mean that's totally fair. Yeah, I am not like that. Like I'll run around in games and like if I'm playing like an RPG, like something like really story heavy, and I'm actually like in the story parts of it, and I'm not just like running around doing stupid shit, then yeah, like I will have tuned out like whatever's on the TV. But like if I'm running around in like Mario or like whatever, like I am like actually paying attention to whatever's on the TV while I'm doing that. Even if I'm just listening to to what's going on the TV while I'm like watching the screen on the Switch.
I don't like, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I will like, if I'm watching something on TV, I'll grab my phone and check my phone. But if I'm watching something new, I do my best to not even check my phone because like then I'm just sitting there. I have to watch it. I'm watching it.
So to be clear too, like if we're watching a movie for the first time, like or like a show for the first time, I'm not pulling out like the Switch to play a game.
I
Like,
know, but
but
it's
like
and again, I'm not coming again at you, but it's the idea, like you said, like some people will grab the Switch, put on a movie, and play the Switch. Like, well, then why not just play on the TV?
I don't know,
Like,
multitasking.
that's not multitasking. You're not watching the movie.
But you can though. That's the thing. Like it depends what you're playing though too. Like if you're playing like a real deep story game, then absolutely, yeah, you're only paying attention to the
Even
game.
if even if you're playing Super Mario Bros. On the NES emulator, you're not watching the movie. You're playing Super Mario Bros.
Yeah, I'm still paying attention to the movie most of the time. But
No.
again, I'm not watching like a new movie. Like I'm watching something I've seen before, and usually it's something that's like on the TV. Like you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it's not like I put like rented a movie to not watch it.
Yeah,
Um, but like I'll also like read a book while watching TV.
I can't do that.
I know you can. You are very much like and like you said this before. Like you might. I don't know that. I think you've actually said like you've never been diagnosed, but you absolutely have like ADD or ADHD, right?
I probably highly believe that I have some form of undiagnosed ADHD or possible some level of potential autism with ADHD.
So
No,
like
no official diagnoses, so I don't like use that as a crux. I know a lot of people who are like, "Oh yeah, I got ADHD." Oh, when were you diagnosed? I wasn't. It's like, no, you don't know, and you can't use that.
yeah, and
But
I was
like,
not saying this so that you could use it as at like to
yeah,
like
yeah,
exempt you, but I'm just saying like based on like how you are about things, like you hyper focused,
mhm,
and like you can't have too many stimulus going on at one time
mhm,
because you can't figure out which one you want to focus on, but at the same time you can't be doing something too like uninteractive or like your mind wanders and you fidget.
yeah.
Um,
I'm literally spinning my D20 spinner right now as we're talking.
Yeah, so like I get that for you. Like you can't have two different like things that are in theory immersive experiences and split your attention between them.
Mhm,
Like if you have both of them going, you are going to end up focusing on whichever one is more aggressive and completely missing the other one or like putting the other one aside depending on like what it is.
yeah.
I am not like that. So like I understand, but like I'm fine like having like four different things going on. You know what? No, four is too many. Like two is like the sweet spot. Like having like a show or a movie playing and then like playing a game or like reading a book or something like that. That's what I
Mhm.
like. I like being able because then it's one of those things where like I can pause the game and like have something else going on, or like stop reading for a little while, pay attention to the TV, go back to it. Like you know what I mean? Like during like if it's like a TV show during like commercial breaks or whatever, I can like go back and like read a few pages. I don't know. I like it. But yeah. So as far as like the whole Switch 2 thing goes though, are you interested in buying another Switch?
I will get the Switch too. Yeah, I mean, I outside of PlayStation, like outside of basically Xbox, I'll always get the Switch, and I'll most likely always get the PlayStation. Honestly, I think about like there's no reason for me to get the Xbox because there is no exclusive game for Xbox.
No, because I think at this point every exclusive game on Xbox you can play on PC, right?
Yes. But PS5 and even for like as of right now, there's still a lot of exclusive games on PlayStation, but they are slowly rolling out games onto PC. But yeah, outside of like Nintendo, I'll probably always get a new Nintendo console, even after like even after or even after like PlayStation goes like, well, everything's going to be simul released and we're not doing exclusives anymore, and it's just PC for me at that point. I'll probably always still do Nintendo because I am y'all know me. I'm a Nintendo stan. If there's two stands, if there's two things I stan, it's Nintendo and it's Capcom. Um, so I'll always get the Nintendo shit, even though I'm like behind on a lot of Nintendo games and I don't actually get a lot of their AAA titles. Like I haven't gotten a new Mario game since Odyssey. I haven't gotten Tears of the Kingdom. But like I'll get a lot of their new titles when they come out. I do plan on getting Tears of the Kingdom some point probably this year. But it's just yeah, I'll always get the new Nintendo shit.
Which yeah. So is there anything like if they announce like is there a deal breaker? I guess is the way I want to put this. Like is there anything that they could announce for like a Switch 2 where you're just like, well that's just not worth it. Outside of like something outside of the price being just unreasonable.
Honestly, wait. Like as long as A, it's portable, and B, it is incredibly more powerful than the current Switch, I'd be happy. But if it weighs too much, then like that's a definite like because even though I say I almost exclusively play it docked,
I was
it
about to
is
ask this
that like
question.
it is that idea of like if I go away, if I do like when I do eventually start going away and seeing people again and whatnot, and bringing it to gatherings or whatever, like that would be nice. Oh, or honestly, if the screen it gets smaller, uh, if the screen gets any smaller than what it is, it's like that. Come on, guys, like that's just make a regular console at that point and don't do this whole handheld shit.
Actually,
Or
I hadn't thought about that one. The screen size is a good one. Like
or if the machine itself gets bigger, like I think the Switch is a perfect size.
it
I
is
don't.
actually a really nice like
Yeah.
having like swapped between it and the Steam Deck a couple times. I really like the Steam Deck. The
Yeah.
Steam Deck is not portable. Like it is
No.
handheld. It is not portable.
Yeah.
Like the Switch is like legitimately portable.
Yeah. It's so like it, but I don't think there's any sort of like deal breakers for me, but I'd have to like see more about it. Even price, like just because I understand the increase in cost of things. Like the Switch 2 probably won't be a launch item for me, just because I don't really play the Switch that often, but it would be something I would get within year one. I
Okay.
like
Yeah.
I like to get the first run of consoles, but at the same time, I'm like I can probably, especially also since a lot of my Switch playing does come down to playing with friends, um, and unknowing the likelihood of most of the people I know that I play Switch with getting whether or not they'd get the Switch 2, most likely they wouldn't. There wouldn't really be much of a point for me to get the Switch 2 because I would still need access to the Switch 1.
Yeah,
And
that's a good point. For
yeah,
you also like if you look at the launch lineup too, like if the only new game is a new Mario Kart or the only new game that like has any interest is like a new Mario Kart and then like some ports of like Switch games,
mhm.
like why get a new Switch, right?
Honestly, I even feel that like if it's not fully backwards compatible with Switch games, it's not going to be worth it either.
Yeah, no, that's a good call. And a lot of people have said that too. Like it absolutely has to be backwards compatible.
Yeah, because like if I were to get the Switch 2 and my friends have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but they don't get the new Mario Kart because they don't have the Switch 2. I don't want to have my Switch 1 set up just so I can play games with them.
Yeah,
I should be able to just have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe installed and play games with them.
Yeah.
Or
yeah, I agree. And I can still see them doing like an upgraded port of like Tears of the Kingdom for Switch 2 or some of the more like the later first party Switch games that are like that do run a little rougher than like some of the early games do. I could absolutely see them doing like a cross-gen thing with them. Yeah. Just as like hey, here's like a nicer version of this Switch game at launch for the Switch 2 because we needed something to sell you.
But also like if they don't carry over all of the current titles on the Switch Online, then it's over. It's over.
Oh, like keep that subscription kind of as is.
Yeah. If they increase that price, even though I have a full family plan and I only pay $10 a year for it, like if they like increase that even more, or they say, all right, well, anybody who has a Switch 2, we have to slowly load out the titles we already have out. Excuse me, like, well, what's the point of this console then? Like, just you already have all the stuff on here. The only reason to have this console is to make more money, which you're not going to be doing.
Yeah, I agree with that. So negatives aside, are there any like things that like you're hoping to see in it? Other than like backwards compatibility, like some of the stuff like we mentioned as like, well, if it doesn't have this, what's the point of buying it?
A good Star Fox game and a good F-Zero game.
Oh man, you're going for wishful thinking.
Yeah, I mean, here's the I did not hate the Star Fox game on the Wii U. Was it? Yeah.
Wait, was there a Star Fox game, or are you thinking about Starlink?
No, it's Star Fox Guard. There was a game that a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is terrible." It wasn't. It was good. I think it was Wii U. Yeah, it's Wii U. I'm looking at it. It's right behind me. But people like had a big problem with it. I played it. I'm like, this is Star Fox. This is fun. Like, this is like Star Fox 64. Like, it used a little bit more motion controls to give you that like little bit more tweaked, better handling or aiming or something like that. And people hated it, but I was like, I had a good time playing it.
I don't remember this game ever existing.
It was launch, or pretty early in launch.
I don't know. It says it came out in 2016. You said Star Fox Guard?
Yeah. Or maybe I'm thinking of a different Star Fox game. You're
thinking of Star Fox Zero. That one I remember.
Yeah, that's probably it.
I do remember
Guard
this
was
one.
a tower defense. I barely played Star Fox Guard then. But
yeah, that was what was throwing me off too. You're like, this is Star Fox. I'm like, dude, this says tower defense. What?
I have the physical copy. But yeah, Star Fox Zero, which I mean, it got 7.5. It got a decent, like it got decent grading, but people hated on it. Hey, and I remember specifically Drew hating on it. I think you might have too.
I never played it.
You guys still hated on it because I liked it.
That is possible. I vaguely remember they did something with this game that I thought was really stupid. I forget what it is though. But I also feel like a lot of people have like nostalgia goggles for Star Fox. Those games weren't all that good.
See, and that's the thing. Like on GameCube, they released like a Star Fox like action game.
Where, I remember that.
You alternated back and forth between in the ship and on the like running around as Star Fox. It might have even been like maybe in a pseudo style of like a Metroidvania, and that was good. People hated on it, and it's like, why are you hating on it? Well, Star Fox, you don't really spend time flying around. It's like they tried to do something different. Look at fucking Pac-Man coming out in 2 years or in next year, and obviously this is years ago, but I'm talking about now in 2025, the new fucking Pac-Man game coming out. Like they got to do different shit.
Yeah, and also, like, I'm actually looking at the timeline. There were 2 Star Fox games that were, like, basically the same fucking game. Star Fox and Star Fox 64, not that different. Like, as far as, like, gameplay goes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ones you're thinking of, Star Fox Adventure, is the one where, like, it became, like, a 3D, like, action platformer.
Yeah, on, like, Dino Planet or something like that.
And then there was also Star Fox Assault that was the same thing. And then Star Fox Command went back to the flying ships. Mm-hmm. But, like, I do feel like people forget that, like, Star Fox and Star Fox 64 aren't exactly the best games. Like, they don't play real well, especially today. Star Fox itself was cool at the time because of visually what it was doing on a 16-bit console.
Mhm.
Star Fox 64 was cool at the time because it was the first game with the fucking Rumble Pack. But frankly, like I feel like the two like adventure games are probably actually more interesting. I never played them, but like
Yeah.
I remember seeing them and like they definitely looked like they had more like versatility than the first two games.
Yeah. The
And
Dino
like
Island one was fun.
yeah, and like I feel like people just forget that like those first two games aren't actually all that much fun. Like unless you have like a whole bunch of nostalgia for it.
Yeah, like
Um,
the one of the cool things about like the original Star Fox game is based on how you fly throughout the level, like your pathing change. You always get to the end and fight Andros, but your pathing and what you do and where you go could give you a different game. Like there's probably a finite amount of actual runs that like the different kinds of runs, probably like maybe 30 different runs that you could go into. But each planet you get to then branches off into X amount of other planets. And if you like space shooters, it's a solid space shooter. Like I agree, they're not the best games, but like I want a new Star Fox. I want a new F-Zero because like these are key characters in like the Smash Bros realm. These are characters that have been in Smash Bros since the original.
yeah,
And we've gotten since 64, since N64, we got like what, 3 Star Fox games and we haven't
actually,
gotten a new.
there's a lot more Star Fox games than either of us
I
realized.
know there was a lot of like mobile, not mobile, but like a lot of handheld Star Fox games.
Well, there was from from the GameCube up, there was Star Fox Adventure, Star Fox Assault, Star Fox Command. Those were all like GameCube era.
Mhm.
That was 02, 05, and 06. And
Yeah.
then we do jump ahead to 2011, and that's when they did the Star Fox 64 3D remake for the 3DS.
I don't count that as a new game
Um,
because it's not. It was just an upgrade. It
and,
was.
and then you jump to 2016, and that's when you had Star Fox Zero, Star Fox Guard, and they finally
Which,
released Star Fox 2.
so Star Fox Guard, it was
Tower
is
defense.
a is a tower defense that was in Star. It's a spin-off of Star Fox Zero.
Oh, okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense because they came out like the same time.
and I think it was. I don't know if it was free for getting Star Fox Zero or what, but like I got a discount on it, and which is why I have it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But then Star Fox was also featured in the game Starlink, the Ubisoft like Toys to Life game. If you got the Switch or the Wii, the Switch version.
The Switch version, yeah, which I have.
Yeah, so do I. And that came out in 2018, and like that game I actually thought was actually not bad. I didn't play a ton of it because the Toys to Life thing got old quick, but like I thought the idea and like the premise for that game was actually pretty cool. And
Yeah,
like it
I
played
liked
fairly
it.
well.
I liked it. I wish I stuck with it, but I ended up buying a few toys after like they started to go under, but I never got more than just the basic ship.
Yeah.
The R-Wing. I might have had another. No, I had like a couple of different guns and a couple of different pilots, but outside of that, I never got a new ship. So it was like, all right, well, I can only play as the R-Wing. But again, that doesn't count. That's not a Star Fox game. That was a game that had Star Fox ported into it. We didn't get a single Switch Star Fox game.
No, you're right. Like we really didn't.
And we haven't gotten a new F-Zero game since GameCube as
Yeah,
well.
that one
Like,
for sure. Like they're
but there's been like F-Zero arcade cabs. But actually, no, because I think the GameCube game are F-Zero arcade cabs. So like,
yeah, and I think the F-Zero side of it is that game fucking I think that game flopped like financially because
mhm,
people didn't actually know what F-Zero was. They knew
yeah,
Captain Falcon. They did not realize he was just like a race car driver
yeah,
that like really you never see.
yeah,
Like he's not really a character. He's just like an avatar you pick as like he is in the ship and you don't actually see him at all.
hmm
Um,
yeah. It's like any other generic racing game that's not like
exactly.
a sim game. It's Mario Kart, but with space racing instead.
And without
Um,
like the mascot characters that people kind of like latch on to.
yeah. But yeah, so like I want them to like bring back some of these like pseudo classics or like yeah, like bring back some more like obscure and niche characters or niche games with the Switch 2. Obviously, you know they're going to do another Smash Bros with a Switch 2 because they do one Smash Bros per console.
Yeah.
Um I don't maybe I don't know. I don't really know what I'd be looking for. Like, what is like a, oh yeah, I definitely have to get this. Like, what's a console seller for the Switch? Like, even hardware, software wise, like, you know, integrate Bluetooth into it. Like, your fucking Switch doesn't even have Bluetooth capabilities. You need a dongle to do that shit.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that there's some stuff like that, like Bluetooth capabilities. I'd like Joy-Cons that just feel a little sturdier. Like I think like
controllers that don't break. That's
yeah,
something. Like,
yeah, like no more Joy-Con drift. I think like the Joy-Cons themselves, like format wise, layout wise is fine. Um,
mhm,
but like when they're not like on the console, they do just feel very flimsy.
yeah,
Um, and like when they're not on the console, they're also super tiny and like not great for adults.
yeah.
But yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. I wonder how many moons and stars are going to be in Mario 3D Switch 2.
I don't know, but you'll get them all.
We'll see. We'll see what happens with that one. If it's less than 999, it's not going to be worth it.
That's
No,
fair.
it'll definitely still be worth
Well, would you like to move along from the Switch rumors?
it. Yeah, let's apparently there's this apparently Goosebumps got a season 2. Apparently I didn't even realize it had a season 1.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I knew there was
So
a movie. Wasn't there a recent movie?
there were like two. There were two movies.
Yeah. Wasn't Jack
Um,
Black in one of them?
I think he's in both of them. I think he's actually R.L. Stein in both of them.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's a Hulu series.
Okay.
So it's on Hulu and Disney Plus because like they're the same thing now. Season one. So the way it's working is they're doing it as like an anthology series. So like each season is like a different set of characters in a different place.
Hmm.
Just to give you a quick like idea, the first season, I'm reading the Wikipedia synopsis. In the first season, a group of 5 high schoolers embark on a shadowy and twisted journey to investigate the tragic passing 3 decades earlier of a team named Harold Biddle, while also unearthing dark secrets from their parents' past. And then this recent season, season 2, which was called The Vanishing, twins Cece and Devin, on a vacation at their father's, decide to enter an abandoned and supposedly haunted fort with a few friends. Without realizing, they're setting off a chain of events that will unravel a profound mystery connected to the mysterious disappearance of 4 teenagers 30 years back. So in both cases, the whole idea is like something happened in like the 90s that is impacting like a group of people present day. Season 1 focused on like Slappy the Puppet was kind of like the big bad, I guess you could say, of the season.
Hmm.
And like each episode kind of like focused, and this season did it too. Each one focuses on like a different member of like the group of teens, and each one kind of like has like a different twist on one of the classic Goosebumps books. Generally the episodes are named after stuff too. So like in this season, the first 2 episodes were Stay Out of the Basement parts 1 and 2. And then Monster Blood was a season. Welcome to Camp Nightmare was a season, an episode. So like the episodes will play off of like the titles of the books. This season had less of ones that I was familiar with, unfortunately. The ones I just listed off were the only ones I actually like remember as episodes or as books. Season 1 had a lot more because like it had Say Cheese and Die with like the camera. It had The Haunted Mask. It had Go Eat Worms. It had Night of the Living Dummy and a couple others that were like, oh yeah, that's absolutely like I remember these books from the early 90s. It's actually kind of a cool series though because it's got some cheese, but it is trying to take like not serious, but like it's definitely leaning more into like drama than being like a cheesy like children's show. And it definitely isn't a children's show. Like it's a series for adults.
Hmm.
And this season has Ross from Friends as the twins' dad.
Okay.
So he plays like a botanist, and his brother is one of the kids that in the 90s disappeared. And so like he's kind of like his whole life he's like hasn't believed that his brother died in like a drowning accident the way like all the news reports said he did. So like he's not like a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but like he was kind of like still trying to figure out what happened to his brother even 30 years later. And then his kids just kind of like unintentionally get mixed up in it by like going to like where their father grew up essentially. The weird thing that like stuck out to me in this one, so most of this season takes place in Brooklyn, New York. The twins who live with their mother, they appear to just live in fucking Manhattan. Like they're just the sister for the first few episodes is taking the train into Manhattan for like some sort of like summer camp thing. And like during one of those bits, like she ends up back at her mom's apartment. And like they're treating it like they're like far from home. But I'm like, at most it's a 40-minute train ride. Like what is it go? Why are you guys acting like they're fucking like they came across the country for the summer? Because it's like they know some of like the kids in the neighborhood just from like having, because their grandmother lived in the house, so like just from like their grandmother living there, their dad living there now, like that they have familiarity with some of the people in the neighborhood and all. But like at the end of the season, it's just like they're acting like they're going away and they'll never see each other again. I'm like, guys, you're all like 18 and 19. It's a train. It's a $2 train. Like you could literally come over every day. There's like, what?
That's 40 minutes there and it's 40 minutes back. That's such a long way. Like,
then you meet halfway. Each one takes a 20-minute train in.
But then you have to go find somewhere to hang out.
It's fucking New York.
Probably spend more money there. And it's New York, so it's going to be expensive.
And like, there are definitely a few scenes where they are hanging out, like the Hudson River, I guess that is. The Hudson is, I think, the one that goes into Manhattan. They're like on the Hudson fucking River. Like, they're not even in deep Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, come on, guys. Like, if you're gonna write the show like this, at least write it a little more like believable. Like, oh, like the kids live in Boston most of the year or something.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, like it's actually like it's a cool show. We ended up so the first season was 10 episodes. Second season is 8, and they're all like 45-ish minutes. So like they're not like big commitments, and yeah, like it's just like a fun show. Like we ended up watching 4 episodes on Monday and the other 4 last night because it's just they do that every episode ends on like just enough of a cliffhanger that you want to see what happens next.
Yeah.
Because when we originally put it on, we're like, oh, we'll watch like an episode and then we'll like watch something else. And we're like, oh no, like let's watch another one and see where it goes. And it's like, oh well, fuck, let's watch the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And then before we know it, we were like halfway done the season. And this one had some like pretty aggressive like body horror stuff in it. Because there was like this like plant goo that was like taking people over. So like people like cutting their arms open to like pull like plant bulbs that grew under their skin. People literally melting in the piles of goo. One guy almost turned into like a sludge monster, and somebody was like literally trying to use like a windshield scraper for ice to scrape the goo off, and was just like scraping off chunks of their skin.
Mm-hmm.
So like they got a little fucking gross with this season, but it was cool either way. I like how they leaned into different things with it. And then I got Benny behind me making noises.
I don't hear him. He's fine. He's good.
He's a good boy. Today's his 5th gotcha day.
Oh, Benny's.
We got him 5 years ago today.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a good boy. But yeah, I would say like I know you don't watch like a lot of like dark stuff because you tend to watch TV like before bed essentially. But like this show, like you might enjoy this show because like it's got enough humor to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a put it on before you go to sleep show, but like, you know, if you're just like looking for something to watch during the day, it's both seasons were pretty good. And like it's got a lot of like young actors that you're not going to know, but then like they have people you recognize too. Like Ross from Friends is in this season, and last season Justin Long from like the Mac and PC commercials back in the early 2000s.
You pick the Mac and PC commercials, then like anything else that he was in?
Yup. What else was I supposed to pick? Fucking oh god, what was that movie he was in?
Accepted?
No, I was gonna say Drag Me to Hell.
That was him. He was in Accepted, right? Wasn't that Justin
Yeah,
Long?
yeah. He was in Accepted. He was in Zack and Miri Make a Porno for a brief moment.
Yeah.
I believe he was. Oh, he was in Dodgeball. That's right.
Yeah.
We just recently watched that because it was just on TV. But no, he will always be I'm a Mac. I'm a PC.
Of all the things. He's in Waiting.
Oh, that's right. He was like one of the main guys in Waiting.
Yeah. So you pick his commercials over like his actual things.
Yeah. Look, man, those commercials were iconically bad.
They were. They were terrible.
But yeah, he's in the first season of it. There's some other people that are like recognizable too. But yeah, it's a show that's worth checking out, and I do hope I hope it gets renewed for like another one, and they find like another thing to do with it, because like there's only so many Goosebumps books,
Hmm.
and the way that they're doing this is they are trying to find ways to like tie it together while also having like an overarching plot to them. So like I hope we can get like one or two more seasons out of it before they kind of like just let it go naturally instead of like driving it into the ground the way so many things
Yeah.
do anymore. But yeah, good show, worth watching. Hulu, Disney Plus on both of them because they're the fucking same platform now.
Yeah.
You got anything you're looking forward to this year?
You really need me to say it?
Yeah.
It comes out in 48 days.
What's that?
Monster Hunter Wilds.
Okay, do you have anything good that you're looking forward to in 2025?
Monster Hunter Wilds.
Do you have anything that I care about coming out in 2025?
That's literally the only thing I know that's coming out this year. Uh,
That's
I
impressive.
why? What makes you think I would care and think of anything else when it comes to this? Like, the only other thing I can think of are like the return of movies. Like, and I say that as a whole because we didn't get anything last year besides. And there were some movies that came out last year, some, but like we didn't really get a lot because we dealt with 2 strikes going into last year.
Oh yeah,
So
that's right.
well, there weren't a lot of movies last year. There was literally one Marvel film last year, right? Maybe 2.
I haven't seen a Marvel film in 3 years, so I don't know.
That's a lie.
Oh
You
right,
saw
Deadpool, Wolverine.
Deadpool and Wolverine. Let's look that up real quick. Marvel
But yeah, I think that might have been the only one last year.
2024 movies. I mean they had some series. They had Agatha. They had What If last year, but
I watched half of Agatha.
I haven't watched it. Yeah, literally we had one Marvel film last year, and that was Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yep, and I have not seen one other than Deadpool and Wolverine. I haven't seen one since Black Panther 2.
Which I mean that was the worst one to stop.
Yeah.
I don't blame you for not. I mean, you had a shitty experience, but I just thought that movie was bad. It was boring.
Like, it's not even like I'm not even against watching the other ones. Oh, you know what? No, I'm sorry. We did end up watching Ant-Man and the Wasp like quite a ways after it had come out, but it was more like I don't want to spend 2 hours on a movie that is just cookie cutter because that's all they are anymore. I mean, fucking Guardians is almost 3 hours.
Guardians is a great movie.
I
Guardians
get to the
3
point, like, I don't care about any of those characters anymore.
It's so fun. And then The Marvels was a really good movie. I had a lot of fun watching that.
Like, that's one I just looked. Apparently, that one is only 105 minutes. I'm a little more inclined to actually check that one out now. I didn't realize it was so short. And like, apparently Captain America is only like an hour and a half or something like that.
I think there's
like 108 minutes.
I think they're starting to realize that they can't have movies longer than 2 hours.
Yeah.
I think they know, like, I think they're starting to be like, all right, we got to cut these down. These movies are getting a little, because I didn't realize Guardians was almost 3 hours, but also Guardians was a fun movie where Black Panther wasn't.
Yeah. I mean,
Black Panther was incredibly depressing for half the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong.
And it was too many movies and it was too much in one, which is why it was just like I was bored. Whereas Guardians was like, it opens up as like a little bit of a bummer situation or bummer scenario, but overall, like it's Guardians, so it is the slapstick silliness that like you see in the other Guardians movies. It's what you expect in these movies because it's supposed to be the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's supposed to be silly, but it's also very serious and very fun. And I thought it was really good.
Yeah,
I thought it was really good.
After like the Avengers, like I just lost all interest in those characters.
We finally got an F-bomb in the MCU with Guardians 3. It was great the way it came. It comes out of nowhere, and it was fantastic. And like, I don't want to explain the scene. Like, it hits better when not knowing what the scene is when it happens. It was that shock of, oh my god, he said that, and that's hilarious because like that's how it goes, and it's great. I think Guardians is a great movie. But yeah, like I'm just excited for movies to come out this year. At least movies I'm interested in. But yeah, outside of Monster Hunter Wilds, I'm not paying too much attention to what else is coming out because I know how much of my life is going to be consumed by that game. Like gaming wise, it's just like what is there's another RPG remake that comes out in February.
That one I didn't know actually.
Or there's some sort of RPG that comes out at the end of February. Or no, at the end of March. March video game.
Well, while you're looking that up, I, I will say like I am curious about Captain America. It's not gonna be something I bother to go see in the theaters, but I probably will watch that like when it hits like Disney Plus. But one like watching thing that like comes out actually surprisingly soon, the new Daredevil.
Mm-hmm. That's a
And
series.
yeah,
Yeah.
I said watchable thing. I am actually very curious to see what they do with that. I think it comes out in like March or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it'll necessarily be good, but it is probably the first like series in a while that I'm like I actually want to watch that like when like as it releases.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily like I think Agatha is actually pretty good. It's just one of those shows where I don't feel compelled to keep up with it.
Mm-hmm.
But like
No,
Daredevil,
it's
I'm like, man, it's been like 8 years since season 3 of Daredevil.
Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remaster
Oh right, I forgot about that.
releases in March on March 6th. Yeah. So gaming wise, like I don't really know. I'm actually going through Game Rant has a list of what's currently slated for this year. And there's no, like outside of Monster Hunter, there's nothing that really like stands out to me. Yeah, it's also I'm behind on old games too. I remember, like I said, last year I played one brand new, maybe two brand new games last year. Three. I played no, it was only two brand new games last year. And one of them was good but incredibly disappointing. The other one was just incredibly disappointing.
Yeah, I mean that's usually how that goes, right? You got to
Yeah.
play more so that you have like a larger like scope.
Yeah, maybe if games weren't as long as they are now, I'd be able to play more.
Yeah, I mean
But
that actually the length of games does.
yeah. I mean, the only real like there were a few games like if we end up getting review copies for Malediction, I'd be pretty excited to play that and like get into that with other people, especially like my friend who's getting into Warhammer. I'm like, if you like Warhammer, then you might like this game. If we end up getting a review copy to that game SETI that I saw at PAX, that I'm super interested in. I'm on, here's something like outside of your wheelhouse. I'm interested to see what happens to Critical Role. So right now we're recording on the 15th. California is still on fire.
That it is.
Critical Role has halted production because a lot of cast and crew have been affected by the fire.
Oh yeah, a lot of them just aren't in LA anymore.
Yeah. So we are in the end game of this current campaign. We ended as they were pretty much about to fight the final boss, basically, or
Oh
get into the
shit.
final. Yeah, like they're literally like they're at the end game. So they were not planning on having campaign go beyond January, it seems, but because of events, and this isn't. I'm not excited to see what happens with. Like this isn't what I'm just like. I'm excited to see what happens after this. Like, what are they going to do? Are they moving to Daggerheart? Are they making maybe? Are they going to go the D20 route and maybe make shorter campaigns and not hundreds of hours? Are they going to have multiple series? Like they're turning themselves into like a multimedia company based around tabletop RPGs and specifically like currently D&D, but maybe Daggerheart. That like I am interested and excited to see what happens with them. I do occasionally check for the New York live show to see if like any more tickets go on sale or if somebody's reselling them for a reasonable price. But yeah, like I'm excited to see what's going to happen with them and their series and their show and all their shit. Because if they end the current campaign in the next couple of weeks, then it's how long are they going to break from having the current campaign until they go into the new campaign? And like I said, what is it going to be? Is it going to be D&D again, or is it going to be Daggerheart? I have a feeling it's going to be Daggerheart. But like it's who knows? They might still do D&D. They won't really be able to have D&D Beyond as a sponsor, but they haven't really had D&D Beyond as a sponsor most of this campaign. So like that would be fine. I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens with Critical Role. I'm also looking forward to just like I think The Long Dark 2 is releasing this year, and I think Subnautica 2 should be releasing this year. So I'm interested in those.
It's funny, like I'm sure there will be games coming out. There aren't really any games that like are on my radar that like I'm excited for though.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah.
like the last year or so, like I feel like a lot of games like they just feel very samey.
I mean it I get that. I get that. And like I call myself a variety streamer, but like I tend to play like the same like two or it feels like I'm saying it playing the same like two or three games. Um and yeah, like nothing really is like sticking out to be unique anymore to me. I get that.
Yeah, like I'm more interested in seeing like what movies come out or like what books release than I am in like the current crop of games.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of games from like the last couple of years that I just hadn't gotten around to that I'm definitely like I would like to get to them at some point.
Hmm.
But yeah, like upcoming stuff is a little bit more like like I will probably pick stuff up, but I'm not like
Yeah.
absolutely like gotta do
Yeah.
it.
And I think it's in part like the disappointment that I got from Rebirth and the disappointment that I got from Helldivers. I've had a lot more fun playing games from smaller indie companies than I did playing these big games lately. That like I would much rather look for like the more indie developers than anything else. Um but also like I don't know or remember game wise what's coming out. I don't like outside of like the couple of games that we demoed over at PAX, like there's nothing that wasn't available there that I'm looking for. You know what? Besides the Galaxy Fighters that I demoed and talked to Gamey about, like I'm like this game is really cool and I want it. Um, but like again, that's something that like it's hard to get too excited for board games because you really only get to play them once in a while, and like generally you'll play a board game once and then you'll probably never pick it up again because everyone has so many board games that they want to play, and after you maybe eventually you'll get through all of the board games everyone has, and then it's like, all right, well, what do you want to play now? It's like, oh well, this game was too long, or this game was this, that game was that. I was like, but I really like these games. Like I want to play them, but I won't be able to. It's it's just I don't know. It's tough to look forward anymore because there's too much. So like you pick for me I picked the one thing. It's Monster Hunter. If it wasn't Monster Hunter, I'm sure there'd be something else that I'd be looking at or be more interested in. But no, for me, the big thing, the one thing for this year is Monster Hunter. I know it's going to consume my life. I know it's going to be a lot. Like maybe we'll get a new Godzilla movie this year. Probably not. Like a new Japanese Godzilla movie. Probably not, but maybe. Um, but yeah, I don't. You know what? Here we go. The finale of My Hero. That should be this year.
You know what? That's right. That should be this year.
And maybe the finale of Thousand Year Blood War. Maybe if we at
I
least
feel like
not.
that should be this year too.
It might start this year, but it probably won't end this year. It will start this year, but it won't. It might not end this year. I would love to just get into more anime in general, but we'll see. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't look to the future too much because I have too much to worry about in the present right now.
I mean that is absolutely fair.
Yeah.
You know, we have gone on long enough. I'm gonna skip talking about the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
I will talk about that later because there are 14 fucking books in that series.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that will probably do it for this week.
That sounds about like a show.
Yeah. Next week we'll be talking about Godzilla Minus One, right? That's the name.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Yeah. So next week, Godzilla Minus One. But other than that, if you would like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, though, you can go to your favorite podcast platform like Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify. Rate us, review us, subscribe to us. All of those things help. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline, at @1_quest on Instagram and Twitter. And I did just make us a Blue Sky.
Nice.
I want to say we are one-quest on Blue Sky because they don't allow underscores, which is a real pain in the ass when I was trying to just get everything like uniform.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm B Walnuts. There's no underscore over on Blue Sky, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty sure it's one dash quest on Blue Sky. Might just be one quest, all one word.
Mm-hmm.
You'll recognize the logo if you find it.
Yeah.
It's the same one I use for everything.
I tried making a Red Note account for myself. That's the Chinese version of TikTok because America is banning TikTok for China apparently stealing our data. So everyone, as a fuck you to the government, is like, well, fine, we'll just give it to them then. And we're joining Red Note. But apparently, like, I had trouble logging in and setting up my account that they flagged me as spam. And so I don't want to connect my main email account to this because I'm still suspicious of the account. So I might make a backup email address just for this Red Note app to make a new account.
That is valid.
Yeah. It's I made a Red Note account and then it doesn't work. And when I try to fight it, it doesn't let me like fight the thing. They're still trying to update it so that American users have a better time with it and maybe translate a lot of because it's all in Mandarin. They're trying to update it. They're actively working on updating it. And so it's like, I'm going to give it a couple of weeks before I even worry about it. I'm probably not going to use the app that much anyway. I don't expect TikTok to be fully banned, even though they only have another 4 days. I think they're going to turn around and be like, all right, sorry, we're not going to ban TikTok.
Yeah, like I'm curious to see what actually happens there.
It's stupid. It's stupid. Not to get all government on our listeners, or not to get all political on our listeners. It's stupid to ban TikTok, an app that really has next to no ties to China, next to no ties to the CCP. There are some very minute ties to the CCP.
I mean, like the company that owns TikTok is a Chinese-based company.
But the company that company owns barely 10% of or 20% of TikTok. TikTok is owned by several different people, and 20% of it is owned by whatever it is. But like, if you're gonna sit here and ban TikTok because 20% of it is owned by the company ByteDance, then you also have to ban Epic, Ubisoft, Larian Studios,
everyone owned by Tencent.
Everyone owned by Tencent. Like, they all have connections to it. So if you're going to ban TikTok, you're going to ban Tencent. But no, they're not banning TikTok because of its connections to China. They're banning TikTok because that's where all the kids go to get the information and spread information. And adults don't understand it, and adults are trying to cover up shit. Like, the government is trying to cover shit up and trying to censor without censoring. So they're banning TikTok.
But we're not here to talk about TikTok. Maybe next week. Maybe next week if it gets banned.
Yeah, maybe I'll definitely have. I have a lot of feelings about this whole ban because, like, you ban TikTok, but like, how much? But now you're fighting over funding to help out California and LA. You ban TikTok, but I get 4 fucking spam calls a day.
Yeah,
do something about that. That's an actual problem that steals money from Americans. Are these spam fucking calls?
Yeah, but they don't care about that. They only care about the stuff that's impacting them directly.
Exactly.
But yeah, so we're on Blue Sky now, like I said. And you can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/OneQuestVideo. And then, Rich, what is your streaming?
Twitch.tv/B_walnuts for video game streaming, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. I think I'm going to go live today because I didn't end up going live yesterday. So you guys who's watching or listening on Thursday won't really get to experience this, but I'm probably going to beat Armored Core tonight. So starting Sunday, most likely, we'll be starting Ghost of Tsushima.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm really close to the end of Armored Core. I didn't end up going live yesterday because I ended up going out. So yeah, that's what we got for stream.
Cool. And then you can send us emails to social@one-quest.com. And with that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See yous.